South Africa has had 6 elections, which have always been declared free and fair, and we've always had election observation by invited observers, which have numbered over 120 often, different countries as well as organizations. So to write such a letter, particularly to countries that don't have observation and that have very low participation rates in the elections, is rather surprising and a demeaning attitude and statement about South Africa and the people of South Africa.
And let's now speak to our international news editor, Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I mean, in part, the letter reads, we are of the view that MK poses a substantive risk to the continued peaceful nature of our political discourse as a nation, and also that the party says it is concerned about the increasing alarm, the potential for foreign interference in our elections by malign actors. There's been quite a lot that this, the Democratic Alliance has said in this particular letter. But what has been further reaction to what we just heard now from Dr. Naledi Pandor and also over the weekend through various officials, including the president?
You heard that the president did respond, saying that it's quite strange that the DA could have done this, taking into consideration that the DA is not in government at the national level. They don't have a person who's a head of state of this country, but you have the African National Congress leader who is the head of state, and therefore the relationship between South Africa and the US at state level and issues that are related to the country are handled by the state, and therefore questioning that. But secondly, the question is, DA going to the US, when you look at the electoral system of the United States of America, it has got challenges. As we speak right now, you have cases before the court that has to do with the elections in 2020, where there was a strong contestation between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. As they are currently campaigning for elections later this year, this is happening at a time where there are these court challenges. And therefore, the question is the United States a best country that you can use as an example? Secondly, the issues of countries in Europe. The other problem there is that you have organizations that will be credited by the Electoral Commission of South Africa to come and observe elections. I'm pretty certain that an organization such as the Commonwealth will be observing or monitoring the elections. When you look at the Commonwealth member countries, you have countries from Europe, countries from South America, countries from Asia, and countries from Africa. And therefore, you have a broad representation of different countries monitoring or observing elections. I don't want to go as far as talking about SADC and the AU, but also you have NGOs and civil societies around the world. They do come and observe or monitor the elections in South Africa. Yeah. And therefore, that is why many people are questioning why the DA is doing this, and some even saying perhaps it has got to do with them realizing that this time around it is not going to be easy for the DA.
And, especially when you read some of what has been said, even by some of the columnists as well, Mpumelelo Mkhabela, for example, writing that the DA's appeal is disturbing at many levels. And he touches on some of what you've said, but also further goes into that insurrection that we saw on the 6th of January and says that, is this a country that you would like to call upon in order to be able to assist us when it comes to some of the elections and given their own challenges? But has the DA said anything to some of what has been said about their letter?
We have tried to reach out to the DA on Saturday. They promised that they'll come back to us on Monday. Our colleagues in Parliament have done the same, but somewhere there has been comments and DA defending its position. But as Dr. Mpumelelo Mkhabela has pointed out, the insurrection 2021, it's clear indication that America is not as perfect as many people think it is. It has got its challenges. We've never had a situation since 1994 where the elections or the election results were delayed because of contestation of some parties rejecting the results. Yes, you always have strong objections when counting is being done and the results are being reconciled, but finally the parties do agree. We've never had a situation where really the electoral process in this country is in a serious challenge. But when you look also the argument of the MK party, where you have the former president being at the forefront campaigning for that party, you cannot use MK as a benchmark. That party, and it will be said, if the then president, Jacob Zuma, can allow perhaps people to question the electoral process, because remember, Jacob Zuma was the deputy president of this country, and it is the IEC that conducted elections where he became the deputy president of the country under the ANC. It is Jacob Zuma who became the president of the Republic of South Africa under the same electoral commission. It is the same president, Jacob Zuma, who got the second term under the same electoral system. And therefore, you can't use that. Yes, you'll find people saying things, but at the end of the day, the leadership of different parties will have to account. And therefore, the question of MK being a threat in terms of electoral processes, it's something that cannot be an issue in terms of questioning the credibility and the processes conducted by the Electoral Commission of South Africa, particularly when you look at the IEC's track record. Many countries do invite the South African electoral body to come and advise and help them. I mean, this weekend, the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, was talking about how the former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Brigelia Bam, assisted DRC during the electoral processes. And therefore, South Africa is one country, when you look at the electoral processes, is a shining example on the continent and around the world. And also you are going to have observers, many of those. Perhaps tonight, when the Electoral Commission is briefing the media will ask that question, and I think we'll get clarity in terms of who have been credited to come and observe or monitor the elections in South Africa.